The Sterling family reunion was in full bloom beneath the July sun, unfolding like a meticulously choreographed garden party across the lush sprawl of Meadowbrook estate, a grand property that belonged to William's lineage for 3 generations. I stood alone on the terrace, glass of lemonade in hand, watching as laughter rang out over the croquet lawn. Women in pastel dresses swung mallets. Men in linen suits shouted over the click of balls. It was picturesque on the surface, a scene of polished charm, but beneath it pulsed something meaner. She's certainly come a long way. I heard Aunt Constance murmur to Margaret, William's sister, her voice floating on the warm breeze. From a trailer park to all this, Margaret replied dryly, not bothering to hush her tone. William was always too sentimental for his own good. Classic gold digger. She scoffed. Clings to the family fortune like a leech. Poor William. I didn't flinch. I took a slow sip, letting their venom wash over me like 100 barbs had before. For 7 long years, I'd endured the sneers, the side eyes, the whispers behind manicured hands. I had married into a bloodline that never once pretended to accept me. In their eyes, I was the outsider, a girl with callous roots who had the nerve to rise too far, to sit at their polished tables, to carry their last name. Eleanor, William's mother, approached with that expression she perfected over decades, a gracious smile stretched across lips that never reached her cold, assessing eyes. "Darling," she said sweetly, "what a lovely gathering. You must be so pleased with how it turned out, of course, with the help of the staff I hired." I turned toward her, my smile just as practiced. "The staff you hired quit 6 months ago. I've been handling everything since." Her smile wavered. "Well, good for you," she said stiffly. "It's important to stay busy, especially without children to fill your time." A deliberate jab, sharpened with knowledge. She knew about the miscarriages, the failed IVF treatments. She knew about the nights I crumbled in William's arms. Eleanor wielded cruelty like a scalpel, precise, refined, and always dressed in polite concern. Then came James, William's brother, drunk as usual, swaggering up with a half-empty tumbler in hand. "Heard you're dabbling in some online hobby shop," he slurred, grinning. "Craft sales or something?" "E-commerce consulting." I corrected calmly. Right. He laughed, mocking, helping stay-at-home moms peddle their crochet, or whatever. Cute, little hustle. But why bother? William's footing the bills, right? Unless, he leaned in, his breath thick with gin. Unless you're building a little getaway fund for when he finally wakes up. James. William's voice came sharp and low, stepping in beside me, shoulders tense. "What?" James shrugged. "Everyone knows she signed a prenup. Just trying to work around it. Smart of her, really." He smirked, always planning ahead. William's jaw clenched, his hand brushing mine. A quiet apology for the years he had spent shielding me from this very scene. This kind of poison. But I was done letting them carve me open with a smile. I set my glass gently on the table. "Actually," I said, "why don't we finally talk about that prenup?" William touched my arm. "You don't have to." "I want to." My voice was steady, clear. I turned to face the entire family. "You've whispered about it for years. Wonder what I signed, what I'd get, how I supposedly trapped William. Let's clear it up. The prenuptial agreement, drafted by your attorneys, was thorough. In the event of divorce, I received nothing. No spousal support, no claim to shared assets, no stake in the Sterling estate. And I signed it without hesitation." Margaret scoffed. "Of course you did. You were playing a long game, waiting for him to rewrite the will, add your name to the accounts." "He didn't," I said plainly, "because I wouldn't let him. Joint accounts, property offers, investments, I declined every one. Not a single cent of your precious fortune has passed through my trailer park hands." Constance gestured toward my designer dress. "Then how do you afford this?" I glanced down and smoothed the silk. "I bought it, with my own money, from that little business James finds so amusing." James barked a laugh. "Sure, must be quite the Etsy empire." William stepped forward, the edge in his voice finally showing. "That's enough," he snapped. "Sophia's built something incredible, and you're too arrogant to see it. Sweetheart, Eleanor said with syrupy sweetness, "We're just trying to protect you." "No," he said flatly. "You never were. You spent 7 years tearing her down." He reached into his blazer and pulled out an envelope. I was going to wait until the party was over, but since we're all here, he handed it to me. Inside, divorce papers. The shift in the air was palpable. Even the laughter on the lawn seemed to pause. "William." I whispered, stunned. He held my gaze. "I love you more than I've ever loved anyone, but I can't keep watching them destroy you. I can't be the reason you stay tied to this. You deserve more than a husband whose family sees you as a parasite." "William." Eleanor gasped. "You can't be serious. Over some hurt feelings." 7 years, he said coldly. 7 years of watching the woman I love be insulted, doubted, belittled. 7 years of choosing between my wife and my family. You made it impossible to have both. "But the prenup," Margaret stammered. "She walks away with nothing." "Exactly," William said. "And that alone should tell you everything you need to know about who she is." I looked down at the papers, then up at the man who had loved me since I was 19. "You're right," I said softly. "There's nothing I'm owed from the Sterling estate." My gaze swept the room, catching every stunned expression. Good thing I never needed it. I pulled out my phone and dialed. "Jennifer?" "Yes." "Send over the documents." "All of them." Eleanor's face paled. "What documents?" I signed the divorce papers with calm precision and handed them back to William. Now things get interesting. James was partially right. I do run an e-commerce firm. What he doesn't know is it's one of 12 companies I own. William blinked, surprised. He had known I was successful, but not that. And together, they're worth over $200 million. James dropped his croquet mallet. "But that's not what I'm proudest of." I turned toward Eleanor. "It's what I've done with that money that matters." I smiled. "I've been investing, acquiring, building, real estate, mostly, commercial lots, apartment buildings." I let the pause hang. "One of the most prestigious estates in the Hamptons, owned by one family for 3 generations. It now belongs to me." Eleanor's breath caught. "No," she whispered. "Meadowbrook's been bleeding money for years," I said softly. "Taxes, wages, maintenance. William told me you were looking for investors. So I invested through a web of shell companies. Didn't want to ruin the mood at family dinners." "You're lying," Margaret whispered. Right on cue, Jennifer, my attorney, appeared at the top of the garden steps, folder in hand. "Mrs. Sterling," she said crisply, "congratulations on acquiring Meadowbrook. An excellent addition to your portfolio." I opened the folder and held up the deed. "Technically, I've owned it for 6 months. You've all just been living here as my guests." Silence spread, thick and choking. Even the birds had gone quiet. "This is our home," Constance murmured. "And you're welcome to stay," I said evenly. "But there will be changes, starting with rent. Market rates, of course." I turned to James. "And that wing you've been squatting in while you find yourself, it's being converted into a residential program for young women from disadvantaged backgrounds. They'll live rent-free, study, build. You've got 30 days. You can't do this." Eleanor shouted, panic breaking through. "This is our legacy." A legacy that was collapsing. I replied coolly. I stabilized it, and now I'm giving it new life. She turned desperately to William. "Say something." He looked at me, not with anger, but with something like peace. "She's not my wife anymore, Mother. This is no longer my concern. She's your landlord now." Margaret stepped forward, bitter. "So it was true. You were after the money." "I've had more money than all of you for years," I said softly. "All I ever wanted was to be accepted, to be part of a family. But you couldn't see past your own prejudice." I turned to the terrace edge, looking out over what was now mine. Before today, I was planning to gift the estate to William, set up a trust in the Sterling name. I turned back. But now, I smiled. I think I'll turn Meadowbrook into a tech incubator, a haven for women like me, who were told they'd never belong. William stepped closer. Sophia, why didn't you tell me? Because I needed to know you loved me for me, not what I could give, and you did. But sometimes love isn't enough when it's surrounded by hate. Eleanor sank into a chair, pale and broken. You may leave this marriage with nothing, she said faintly. I walk away with everything else, I replied. Funny how hard you fought to protect your fortune and never saw me legally acquiring it. This must be illegal, James stammered. Jennifer gave a tight smile. Everything was by the book. Fair market purchases, public records, shell corporations, perfectly legal, strategic anonymity. I gather my things. Lease agreements will be in your inboxes, below market value, because I'm not spiteful, just done. William's voice came gently from behind me. Where will you go? I own a penthouse downtown. Several, actually. I'll be fine. He gave a soft, bittersweet smile. For the first time, I think I will too. As I turned toward the house, my house now, Eleanor called out, desperation in her voice. Sophia, please. We can fix this. We're family. I didn't turn. No, Eleanor. We never were. Real family doesn't whisper behind your back. Real family doesn't twist kindness into suspicion. Real family doesn't make you prove your worth over and over again. And now, the house that once tried to push me out will become a sanctuary for those who've been told they don't belong. The divorce was finalized weeks later. William and I parted with grace, untethered at last from the shadows of his past. He texted me the day he moved out. Thank you for showing me who they really are. I'm sorry I couldn't protect you better. I replied, you love me. That was enough. Be happy. The Sterlings tried everything. Lawsuits, slander, desperate offers. I refused them all. Today, Meadowbrook houses 20 brilliant young women. Entrepreneurs, leaders, builders. The future. And me? I'm building a legacy of my own. One that doesn't seek permission. One that doesn't ask for acceptance. I didn't marry into wealth. I became it. And now I give away to women who know what it means to be underestimated,